Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be sharing these really cute and small credit card holders with you. The credit card wallet comes with a magnetic closure and two pockets to keep your cards in. You can put them in and close it and throw it in your handbag. So let's learn how to make these cute credit card holders. To make these wallets, I used Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn, which is a worsted weight size 4 yarn and a 4.5mm crochet hook. I also used magnetic snaps that I bought from Amazon. I'll be leaving the link in the description box below. And these branded tags, I got them made from Etsy. You'll find a lot of stores that sell leather tags or wooden tags like these. And if you don't have a brand name, you can always write handmade, something like that, something cute like that, made with love, and just adds a little bit more cuteness to your card holder. So gather your supplies and let's get started. To begin, chain 19 to adjust the width of your crochet card holder. You can chain any odd number to start. I'm chaining 19. Now to begin row 1, we will work our first repeat across the third and the fourth chain from our hook. 1, 2, 3, this is the third one. We will be working a single half double crochet decrease across the third and the fourth chains. To work a decrease like that, pull up a loop in the third chain, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next chain. Now you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all the 4. Now chain 1 and work a decrease across the next 2 chains. Pull up a loop in the next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop in the next chain, yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops on your hook. Chain 1, pull up a loop in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next chain, yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops on your hook. Follow it up with a chain 1. Now we'll keep repeating that until we have just 1 chain left. That is, pull up a loop in the next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop in the next chain, yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops and end with a chain 1. Now I have just 1 chain left and I just completed my decrease and a chain 1. Now I will end with a single crochet in the very last chain, and that will bring us to the end of row 1. So that is how row 1 looks. Now let's begin row 2. Chain 2, turn, work a single half double crochet decrease across the very first stitch and the next chain space. To identify your chains and your chain spaces, just pull apart your work like that and you will find a vertical bar. The space before it will be your stitch and the space after it will be your chain 1, and you will be inserting your hook into both those spaces. That is one before the vertical bar and one after the vertical bar. And again, when you're working your next repeat, if you pull apart your single half double crochet decreases like that, you see another vertical bar and the 2 spaces before and after it. So now let's begin the very first decrease. Pull up a loop in the very first stitch, which is right under the chain 2, we just made. Pull up a loop in that very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next chain in yarn over, yarn over and pull up a loop in the next chain space right after that vertical bar. Yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops on your hook. Now chain 1, a single half double crochet decrease across the next stitch and the next chain space. Again, pull apart your work to find that vertical bar, and you will insert your hook before and after it. Once you do a few, you will know where to insert your hook easily. So now pull up a loop in the first space before that vertical bar, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next space after the vertical bar, yarn over, pull through all the 4. Chain 1. Now work a decrease on either side of the next vertical bar. Chain 1. Keep working like that until you have just 1 single half double crochet decrease left, and I'll show you how to end the row. I now have just 1 repeat left, and I just finished working a single half double crochet decrease and a chain 1. Now I will end this row with a single crochet on top of the beginning chain at the corner right here. Just insert your hook into that corner and complete a regular single crochet stitch, and that brings us to the end of row 2. Now to begin row 3, chain 2. Row 3 is just like row 2. So pull up a loop in the first stitch and in the next space right after the vertical bar, chain 1. We keep repeating like that all the way to the end until we have just 1 repeat left. Just keeping an eye on that vertical bar makes things easier and go quicker. Now I work my last repeat and I will follow up with a chain 1, and now I just have 1 last repeat there. So after that, in that very corner where I have the beginning chain 2, I will insert my hook and work a single crochet stitch to complete row 3. Now keep repeating row 3 until your work measures 11 inches long. So my work now measures around 11 inches, just a tad bit more than that. It's okay if it's exactly 11 inches or a little smaller. It should be around 11 inches at this point. And now let's go ahead and work a round of single crochet around this rectangle. We'll first distribute single crochet stitches across these row ends to even them out, and when we reach this corner we will do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Then we will work across the foundation chain side into the free loops, and while working into the free loops we'll catch 2 loops at least to avoid leaving holes. Again, in the corner we will do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Then we will distribute single crochet stitches up along this edge where we have row ends, and then we'll reach this corner where we'll add another single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and we will distribute 1 single crochet into each single crochet and chain 1 across the last row here. And when we reach this corner we are going to work a single crochet, chain 1 and slip stitch to the very first single crochet we made along the side. So let's go ahead and do that. Now let's start working single crochet stitches. I'll first chain 1 and work a single crochet on the side and keep working single crochet stitches. You have to make sure you're not leaving holes After you work a single crochet, if you find a hole there, unravel it and go through maybe just the very edge. That leaves a small hole, so I will unravel it, and instead of going through that gap, I will go through the very edge and just go under one loop there. So this is something you do by trial and error. If you find a gap, you will unravel and try to find a better place to stick your hook into. I'm now near the corner. So in the corner, I will work a single crochet, chain 1, and a single crochet again into the same point. So that will help me turn the corner neatly. And now I'll work across the foundation chain side. You have free loops there, go under that and work single crochet stitches. The loops in the stitch pattern are pretty tight, so they're not leaving any holes. So you just have to work into one loop and it works. So now my next stitch will be in the corner here. So I'll work a single crochet, chain 1, a single crochet into the same point at the corner, and now I'm again going to work my way up along this side. I will work over that yarn tail to hide it. If you find it uncomfortable to crochet over the tail, you can also do it later. Once you finish your work, you can weave it in. So go ahead and work single crochet stitches as evenly as possible all the way across this rough edge here, and I'll meet you when I hit this corner right on top. I'm near the corner and I have just a couple of stitches to work before I hit the actual corner. I think that's a corner, so a single crochet, chain 1 and a single crochet at the same point. And now we have stitches and chain 1s to work into right here, and try to work along this side. Make your stitches tight. So take your time working tight stitches into each of the stitch and chain 1. Just the same space you insert your hook into while you work your repeats for the stitch pattern. You'll work into those spaces and work a single crochet into each of those spaces, and you'll work them tightly so that this side does not widen out. And at the corner I've worked one single crochet. I'll do chain 1 and then slip stitch to the first single crochet right there. After the last slip stitch, I will cut my yarn and pull that loop out like that. Now we'll go ahead and weave in those tails left. This is the beginning tail. I've worked over it for an inch or so and let it go because it was getting in my way. So I'm going to weave that in. Make sure you're doing it on the wrong side. That is the side, not the side where you worked your single crochet round, but behind that. So that will be your wrong side. Where we worked the single crochet border is going to be our right side. So go in and out through a few stitches, back and forth a few times, and trim your yarn. So that is taken care of. Now let's look at the ending tail right here. For that, we will thread the yarn tail and we will do an invisible join. For that, bring your needle under the next stitch like that, and then into the stitch from which the tail was emerging, you work into that. That will create a fake stitch and give you a nice edge with no bumps. Now you can go ahead and weave in that tail along the wrong side by going in and out. I like weaving them in a little inside your work and not across the edge because I don't want it to stick out. So I will work through the inner part. Then back again one more time. And then I'll trim the yarn. So my work is now neat and I have woven in all the ends. Now let's see how to attach the tag and 1/2 of the magnetic button. Once you have woven in the ends into the wrong side, make sure the wrong side itself is facing up. Place 2 credit cards inside like that and fold, making sure they fit from both sides like that. We're going to find the position for our tags. Now fold over in half. Choose the good looking side as your front. And now position your tag where you want it to be in the center like that. And sew it down right now. You can open up the fold once you know the position. This is where you're going to sew it down. So thread a yarn tail, thread a piece of yarn, and sew down that tag. Make sure it is in the middle, widthwise it is in the middle, and sew it down. I'm using the same yarn and a yarn needle. My tag says my blog name on it. If you don't have a brand name, you can always just say handmade. Just going twice, maybe one more time. So that side is fixed, and I'll now go and do the other side. For that, I'm going to run my yarn all the way to the other edge, in and out. Then I'll flip my work and sew this side down. I think 3 looks too much. I'll just do 2, and if that looks better, you can just go through that hole twice, or even just once if you do it right in the middle. I guess 2 is needed. It would depend on the type of tag you have. I think 2 would have been nice here. I did 3 on the other, so will have to do 3 on this side as well, but I would suggest just doing 2 if you are doing it. Now that I see it, I feel like 2 is better than 3. I might take 1 off later. And now go ahead and tie a knot inside and weave that tail. You will also have a beginning tail right here, which you will have to weave in like I showed the other ends. Go in and out 2 to 3 times and then trim that yarn off. So now we have our tag attached. Once we have attached the tag and positioned it right, we will fold both edges again. Make sure the cards fit. And we will use a magnetic snap closure, and we will sew down 1/2 of it to the bottom like that. So again, we are positioning it before we sew the sides down, so it's easier for us to sew it when we have just to go through one layer and not put our hands in through a pocket. So position it in the center of this part along the base. We'll have the other half attached here, and then we'll be able to close it like that. So position it in the middle of the width and sew it down using a regular needle and thread. My yarn needle won't go through this, so I'll be using a regular matching color yarn, matching color thread and regular sewing needle. So come from under like that. And you can sew the side. The top like that a few times. Run your needle through the yarn to reach the other side. Hold it straight and sew through that hole a few times. Again, run your needle through the yarn like that until you reach the next hole, and sew through that one. Now again, move your needle to the very last hole and attach that one by sewing 4 or 5 times. Once you're done, take the needle to the back of your work, make a couple of knots and trim your thread. I'll make 3 knots just to make sure it's secure, and then I'll trim the thread right there. So we have that attached, and we have the other half which we will be attaching later once we sew the sides down. So that will ensure that the position matches on the bottom and the top. So we finished 1/2 of the snap here, but the top part is still here, and we'll do it at the very end. So now let's go ahead and sew the sides down to form pockets for our card. Thread around 1.5 yards of yarn through your yarn needle and start from this side and sew all the way here using a running stitch. Before that, you can use markers to hold the folds in place. Don't go right through the edge, then it's going to be shaky. Go a little inside the edge and then place a marker like that. do on all four edges of the flap or the fold, and when you reach there you can take it off. This is just to make sure that we can work freely without bothering about everything moving around. So now let's start sewing from here to this side. I'll start at this edge and work my way up like that through both the layers. I'll leave the tail there. We'll be working on that later. And now I'm going to go in and out through the stitches like a running stitch, then up, down through the stitches of down through the stitches of both the layers, and up again. Don't tighten too much. I think we can now take off this marker. Continue sewing. And where you have the single layer, just continue through one of the layers, going in and out gently and not too tight. Now let's take off the next marker. Go in to the very edge to hold that down. Now up, down through both the layers. Work like that all the way to the corner. And now bring the yarn tail inside that fold. Like that, and hide it inside by weaving it in. You can also first make a knot if you want, so you can work conveniently. Since it's inside, it's not going to be showing, so make a knot. Then proceed with weaving it in. Make sure you're only going through the fibers on the inner layer. I'll just do back and forth once, not a third time. So I don't want to add much bulk here. And now go ahead and trim that yarn. So that tail is taken care of. Now we have another one hanging here. Bring that into this flap as well, and then weave it in inside here. Now go ahead and repeat the same on this side, and come back and I'll show you how to attach the snap on top. Now let's sew on the other half of the magnetic snap to the top part. Just lift like that and place it slightly on top. Close it on top like that, and then lift it. So that's where it should be sewn down. Don't go through both the layers, or you won't be able to put your card inside. So that is something you have to keep in mind. Bring the needle from under to the side to hide your knot, and just catching the fibers on the top layer. Sew it down. You can just put your hand inside like that and lift it up so it's easier. Like we did with the other half. Run your needle to reach the other hole and sew through that. Pushing it up with your finger like that really helps. Do that 4 or 5 times before you move on to the next 2 holes. Run your needle to reach the next and complete sewing down along these 2 holes here as well. Once you've sewn through all the 4 holes, bring it inside. Make a couple of knots and fasten off or trim your thread.